Hello there, James there. Had to make another video and do the continuance of this video. And let's see what Mr. Bill Black said. But you know what? Before we go back to him, let me go back.
We need to get back to those days because what's happening is a travesty. And this is the reason why I left America, because of, not just because of the systematic racism, injustices, and my 56 years of just dealing with the whole garbage, but watching the black people, my people, plummet. That is why it's hard for me to watch how far and deplorable we have come as a people. But be of good cheer, because I'm in Africa and I see different mentalities. But watch this video and I'll be back. What do you think? It's a different generation of people who don't even have the respect for ancestors. Those who don't even have respect for themselves.
Yeah.
That you would stand in a place that has an historical significance of the pain and the misery of millions of people who lost their lives and millions of people who were enslaved. For you to twerk in a place is beyond me. Now you ask yourself this question. Do you think the Europeans who went through the Holocaust, children, would go into Germany in the museums and be twerking to disrespect their ancestors? No. That wouldn't dare happen. We haven't taught our children. We haven't brought our children up. But check this video out. Because this next video, I was in the same place just 6 years ago. In our group, we did something totally different. Check it out. What do you think? As you saw our little young man there, Bomani's son, shout out, we are even teaching him that these colonizers who were buried there in the ground does not deserve any respect. And we asked the question to the guides, can we spit on the graves? And they said yes. Many people do it. And we wanted to return the disrespect to them instead of disrespecting our ancestors. Now, I know that people come from all walks of life, but there comes a time when there's a time to play and a time to be serious, and our children does not know how to differentiate between the two. They're only out for a moment on social media to show their ass, to act a fool in order to get likes or subscriptions. But I'm saying that we have to change this. We have to make sure that we don't even allow this mess to even come into Africa. We have to set the boundaries again. Our children are lost. They're running rapid. They're out doing whatever. And the sad part is that they're getting younger, having children, and not even teaching them. But here at this monumental place, people should show a respect not only to the ancestors, but those who were affected, which many of us have been affected by the slavery. And there in that dungeon, Cape Coast Elmina Dungeons, they call it, Europeans call it a castle, but there is a church room. Yeah, they held church service there. See, they could have spat on that too. We could have done something a whole lot greater than these young ladies, and then the one saying, yeah, for our ancestors. This is the stupidity that we have to deal with. This is the stupidity we have to deal with. And many of this disrespect is happening, even those coming into the country of Africa, bringing their mentalities, bringing their ways of life, their gender bendings, their drug habits, bringing their attitudes. And yet, Africa don't realize there's many sick people coming to teach your youth the ignorance that they have. You see, there's no parental guidance there in America when it comes to the black community. There's none. Very little, let me say, very little. Because ignorance is taking control. Even those who've been raised in good houses, parents know the challenges that they have to deal with to keep their child on the right path from the ignorance of what these youth out here are doing. Sad to say. I don't want to say it. I can't say it. I'm not going to say it. But let's just keep in mind, family. Let's teach the youth. Let's educate them on their behaviors, their mannerisms. We have to take a stand. We're going to be the ones who have to be the leaders. If not, they'll take over everything, and yet it'll all be lost. This is your man, not your boy, coming to you from Africa, bringing you another gold nugget that you can either pick up or you can just kick it aside. Think about it. Think about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm going to say this. I was thinking about this little kind of a not so funny joke. You know how we love to use the N-word and everything among each other? Put it in the rap songs and things. And I was thinking about this little joke. And one day, I'm gonna give you a scenario. It's not no real characters. And it was these two little white boys out there, and they was watching these black kids across the street. And they seen them rapping and bebopping and everything. They thought it was fun and amusing. And so, and that, as they, was doing rapping and bebopping, and the N-word slips out. And the little boy Connor and his little friend Bradley or Bubby was sitting down there. They was sitting down there, and they was mimicking the black dudes. So after a while, they start rapping. Till one day, they was out there doing it. His father said, "Hey!" The father of the two little white boys said, "Hey! Stop using that word." He said, "Why, Daddy?" He said, "'Cause I said so." He said, "But it's cool for them to say it." He said, "That's not what the word was meant for." "What you mean?" "What you mean, Daddy?" "We put that word because they are what they act." Figure it out. When you do that, you are what you act. You giving them you telling, and they let other people know on how we acting. Then we congratulate it and take it to a whole different level. all because O'Connor and Bradley saw two little kids out there rapping. Just something to think about. But anyway, and I'm gonna give you why I said that. I'm gonna give you the reason why I said that. Here's this next video of, again, I don't know what's going on with these women. Watch this. Professor Black True.
Family and fellow soldiers, I'm the Professor, and this is the moment of truth. A lot of black folks just ain't gonna make it, and we have to own up to that reality. A lot of black people are fighting for their survival, but a lot of us have decided to twerk and get turned up and blowed out until we drop dead or the white supremacists do us in. A lot of black people simply do not care about their own survival, and the white media will trip over its own shoelaces to be the first to give those Negroes a platform. That brings us to Hoochie Con. I swear you can't make this stuff up. First busted baby, now this. And it's a con, all right. This is what the LA Times has been putting out. They are running black people out of Los Angeles, running black people out of San Francisco. They've been done run us out of San Diego, and they're on their way to try to run black people out of Oakland, too. They are ethnically cleansing black people from the entire state. And this is what the white media in Los Angeles decides needs to be focused on. Now, the woman on your screen is Zorine Truly. That's her name, Zorine Truly. And if you want some kind of idea of what Hoochie Con is about, basically it's supposed to be a love fest for ratchet culture from the 1990s. They actually consider BAPS, you know, that movie with Halle Berry and her friend playing the part of ghetto stereotypes, complete with gold teeth, who happen to be showing affection and concern for an old white man. To them, this is a classic movie. Yeah, who needs Spike Lee when you've got wonderful cinematic fare like this? What is the difference between BAPS and all of those little dirty blackface movies from the early 20th century? The year they were made in. That's it. And we also need to talk about the writer, a woman named Martine Thompson. The name sounds like an immigrant, particularly from the islands. When you read her writing, it's chock full of all of the intersectional buzzwords that she no doubt picked up from whatever white liberal feminist she's imitating. It's like an evil AI program being told to imitate Tiffany Cross. And if you want an idea of some of the pearls of wisdom that this Martine Thompson woman was dropping, how's this one for you? Hoochie's flipped narrow, misogynoir-fueled ideas of what a good or respectable or fashionable woman can look like. And that's one of the main themes of her writing. She talks about black women, but you'll also find that half the time she's just saying people or women in general without the black on it. You will see that again. Misogynoir, by the way, one of the favorite terms used by the Shea Butter bootleg crowd. You know that train's never late. She posts things on Instagram and it's just more word salad, usually the word black followed by a number of other unrelated terms having nothing to do with black people's interests. And people like her think that they're saying some really deep stuff. When people try to claim that hair and nails are somehow symbols of resistance in and of themselves, that's someone telling you that they've reduced black people down to just hair and nails. Now, for the slow coast with ADHD, yes, hair is certainly valid to talk about, but not out of context, which is what this woman does. We see white supremacists constantly attacking black people by cutting black children's hair or otherwise making our hair a target. So there's a reality there. But to single out hair as the end-all and be-all is to reduce black people in general and black women in specific to being nothing more than hair, and that's it. There's no power talk going on here. It's just more of the thoughts and feelings nonsense. Look how this makes me feel. Our feelings. I've got to talk about how this makes me feel. Now, I think it goes without saying that this woman's writing is featured in a lot of white media publications. She talks about black women, but you notice very quickly that most of her writing starts off saying black, and then before you know it, she pivots immediately to LGBT. That is a main theme of what she writes. She claims in the headlines this is about black women, but a couple of paragraphs later it turns into a straight LGBT piece. Okay, but why not just say that from the very start? Why the bait and switch? In this very article she wrote, the exhibit was co-organized and hosted by the popular queer community space Junior High last weekend. The exhibit's opening day featured the type of moody, bisexual lighting that promises a good time. I had to check first of all to see if bisexual was a typo. Turns out it's not. And I don't know why lighting promises a good time, but when I see sexual and good time in the same sentence, I take it they're not referring to a walk in the park, or seeing a movie, or going rollerblading. Oh, and I decided to click the link and check out Junior High LA's Instagram page. These are largely white people that are featured on this page, and as the LA Times article said, it's an LGBT organization, though they also have a lot of abortion sloganeering and feminist leftover rhetoric. Do you see the white media doing stories like this to celebrate any sort of dysfunction with any other group? Do you see the white media taking the lowest common denominator of white women and giving space to promote them to white women as their history and something they should aspire to? Of course not. This is the white media trying to dictate to us what our culture is. We have traditions all our own, cultural milestones and commemorations that honor and edify us. But they want to choose the lowest of the low, people who in many cases don't even come from the United States. And these are individuals who, by and large, if you ask them what they identify as, they'll say that they identify as LGBT, or as an immigrant, or that they identify as feminist, or something else, but what they won't say is that they identify primarily or solely as black, so they define their existence in terms of where their parents came from, or in terms of their sexual orientation, or what have you, but not in terms of the main thing that people see when they look at them, the main thing people consider when they deal with them. Now, the white media would never let us take some toothless hillbilly in Appalachia who weds their sister and slurps moonshine 3 squares a day, and then tell white people this is white culture. No matter how widespread or pervasive these kinds of practices and behaviors are, they wouldn't do it. They don't let black people come along and tell them that dysfunction and degeneracy is who they are. The woman who they credit for this Hoochie Khan idea is a 37-year-old, so that means she's a millennial, and this LA Times propaganda piece lauds her for encouraging black women to harness the power of their sexuality and creative expression as they see fit. That's a word, by the way, that gets used ubiquitously throughout this entire piece. In fact, it seems to be a running theme of most of what this Martine Thompson woman writes. Well, I guess they figure since WAP has run its course and we rejected Get Your Booty to the Polls, this is what they're going to try next. They actually quoted this woman truly as having said, simply put, hoochies are pioneers for so many different genres of things. Pioneers? Different genres? And what genres did they pioneer? Thoughtology? The ratchet adventure genre? Booty clapping for dollars? What have they pioneered? Because the point of pioneering is to explore. So what did they find? What did they establish? Talk about putting the bar on the ground. She then added, not only did they pioneer it, they also had to suffer for it. They had to suffer to wear their hair the way they wanted to. They had to suffer to wear their nails the way they wanted to, and gold teeth, and to be sexually liberated. They had to suffer to shine. Well, first of all, when it comes to being sexually liberated, what the hell is she talking about? Black women have been perpetual targets for these white supremacists and presented as either being undesirable or as being oversexed. If there's any group who doesn't need to be talking about sexually liberated, it happens to be black women, but this is what they're saying. And what do they mean by sexually liberated? Who's been putting a chastity belt on black women? The white supremacist, true. But that's not who she talks about. She never talks about who it is that apparently is subjugating or otherwise repressing black women. But then again, as often as not, she usually says women as opposed to black women, so she really can't make up her mind. And I'll tell you right now, these hoochie mamas, they probably didn't suffer as much as the people who had to hear their loud caterwauling, especially at the grocery store, or the people who had to see their tacky clothing, or the people who had the misfortune of smelling the bug spray that most of them thought was perfume. They're actually trying to make some Rosa Parks stuff out of being ratchet, which is what this is. And the white media are the ones publicizing this. Now, if you suspect that this Zorine woman is some kind of feminist, then give yourself a cigar. On Junior High LA's Instagram page, she's quoted as as having said hood feminism and hoochie feminism share similarities in their focus on non-traditional feminism. Rather than solely improving the lives of white women, these ideologies aim to uplift all women. Hoochie feminism leans more toward the extremes of sexual expression and is more geared toward the empowerment of black women. Yes, you read that correctly. Hood feminism, hoochie feminism. Just out of curiosity, what have black women gotten out of imitating the combative and pretentious airs of white feminists? How has feminism helped black women? It makes no more sense for a black woman to talk about feminism than it does for a black man to talk about men's rights activism. The problem facing black women is their race, not their gender. And it's the same for black men. And by the way, talking about this hoochie feminism, hood feminism stuff, this is some of that nonsense they picked up from some of these white liberal feminists. Basically saying that anything and everything fits feminist ideology if you're just willing to pretzel it hard enough. Now, when you hear some black person talking about gender nonsense, that's a black person who thinks that they can escape the struggle of being black by focusing on something else. It's an empty distraction and nothing more, but it's also part of what fuels a lot of these fools' interest in claiming that they're intersectional. What they think they're doing is they're escaping blackness, but they're just playing a rhetorical game with themselves. And yes, this quote by this Zorine woman claims her to be a hoochie historian. Anyone who embraces this as their history won't have a future. So there you have it, a neo-feminist working against our interest and constantly talking about sex because she sees that as her power. Let me tell you something. Using sex as your power is a young woman's game, but it's a game you can't win. And when you're almost 40 and admittedly you put on a couple of pounds, then we're not talking about sexual power anymore. We're talking about using the only trick you know. And the white media wants us to celebrate this. And don't let anyone try to dismiss this as merely being a puff piece about fashion. Or, well, this is just about style. It's an homage to style from the 90s. No, they talk about this as a way of life. Something that black people ought to be imitating and trying to somehow live in their everyday lives. Well, if this is the lifestyle they're trying to sell us, then it's a life that's not worth living. This is nothing more than a clumsy front for the same old buffoonery the white media is always pushing on us. For many years now, the black grassroots have been pushing back and influencing the internal discourse of the black community. This is the white media's response. And no, I was not at all surprised to find that this Zorina Truth woman is from Tennessee, which seems to be competing with Atlanta to see who can be the ratchet capital of the universe. You can call ratchet behavior brave, or claim that it's pushing boundaries, or try to make people think that there's some sort of social significance to running around looking like a stereotype from the 80s and the 90s. But nobody's fooled. You can apply all the words that are normally used for honorable behavior to this mess, but nobody's going to fall for it. This is not art, any more than shaking your behind in Walmart is, or making your booty clap in church is art. It's just sad. This pathetic trend that we've been subjected to for the last 10 years or so. You got a lot of millennials, and truth be told, half of the Gen Xers, who are aging out and retreating back to their glory years, which is basically the 90s and the late 80s, and trying to dredge back up all that old stuff that isn't relevant, and truth be told, holds us back. This is some dried out hood rats and sophisticated hood rats who are trying to feel better about the way they live their lives. These were the types of females who went to Freaknik back in the day, and this pathetic habit of taking pseudo-academic jargon and using flowery praise to try to make a reeking pile of dysfunction stink a little bit less won't work. They're trying to make their prurient behavior seem meaningful, and it's not. By the way, this is some of the art that was on display at HoochieCon. I don't know art, and apparently whoever made this mess doesn't either, but I do know that this doesn't inspire, inform, or touch anyone. What it shows is tatted up, tacky hood rats smoking and posing in their ridiculous nails. It's a damn shame. And this is in Los Angeles, which helps you explain why black people have been catching hell there. Now, you had Brother Tariq, who conducted the FBA Expo just a few weeks ago, and he's promoting the Hidden History Museum. Things that actually dignify black people. Now, if the LA Times wanted to talk about black culture, they should have been reporting on what Brother Tariq's doing, but they didn't. because they oppose black people being shown as we truly are. This is the white media counter-programming against all of the positive steps that they've seen the black grassroots making. And as a people, when you have black folks who are trying to help the white media push this propaganda, that presents us with a stark choice. I've told you often about institutions, which are nothing more than groups of people who come together for the purpose of protecting and promoting a particular idea. What idea are you dedicated to protecting? Black empowerment or Babson Foxy Brown? They focus on this mess, try to dress it up as being thoughtful or honorably rebellious, when it's just the same old whorehouse mentality that the white media's always tried to push. We can be disgusted, though none of us can be surprised. This is where practically all the anti-black images and ideas come from, the white media. Hoochie Con indeed. They should have just called it Hood Rat Con, because that's what it is. Though if they just called it a plain con, that would be the most accurate description of all. Good day, and be one.
Yeah, I can't say no better than that, Professor True. You don't understand. What black people don't understand, your image go up around the world, and so when people come to this country, they looking at you like you're the buffoons, and that's why they don't really. That's why they kind of look at us and don't really take it seriously, and some to a certain degree. Some of these people, when it comes to maybe we want to do business or interact and maybe interact to a certain degree, it affects you, whatever. They're making a fool out of you, and it's you giving them the stereotype. You give, in other words, you know when I said that joke, little half-ass joke earlier, because it gives something to you to think about. Imagine what the man said to his two sons who were white. Basically, it was like, oh,
a few hours ago,
it was
I
cool.
received an email, and
It was cool to be black. No, it's cool to be a shiftless, lazy person that they've been calling you for 400 years. So when they watch you curse yourself, you become what they spoke. I'm trying to tell you something. And then when they see stuff like this on the internet, you just go. And then when it comes to certain situations, they don't take it seriously. When we come up missing or crime, it's like, I mean, they'll value animal over you because of that. I'm just being honest. I know people like this video, but it's the truth. Especially when you display that kind of character, Hoochie Con, and doing what the one video doing over in Ghana. They don't want that stuff over there. In the other countries. Come on, man. We've come so far as a country and as a people.
Hello.
But you got black people trying to take you back.
Having a most marvelous day. Thank you for your support. Please hit the notification bell so you know when new videos are being uploaded. Thank you for your thumbs up, for your comments, and thank you for sharing the videos. Thank you.
Hold on, before I play her video, let's go with.
Then the idea that I'm going to go make tens of millions of dollars, which I've already done, and then sometimes I make more than $20 million a year. Multiple years I've done that. And then the idea that if I ask a woman, hey, could you not put that on your Instagram? Then it would even be a conversation. There's no conversation. If I just said, it wouldn't even come up. It wouldn't even be a thought that there would be something put on an Instagram that it wouldn't be clear that I'd be okay with that shit.
right.
It wouldn't even be a thought that would be posted, let alone an argument. So it just, you're living in an alternate universe where you're either prohibiting a situation that you would ever have a man that actually did shit, that would be respected by other men, that would have access to literally the best shit in the world. You're putting yourself in a situation where some of you people are like prohibiting yourself from, you can say, I'm an independent woman, you can do whatever you want, but don't pretend there's not consequences to that shit.
What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Rome back with another video. If you're new to the platform, welcome to the tribe. By the end of this video,
you. I hope you subscribe. So I wanted to play that first clip because I just want to give the female detractors that like to pop up and say a whole bunch of BS in the comments and then run away like some little kids exactly what you're going to be dealing with if you are going to be one of those women that want to wait at the finish line for the winners. Let's just keep it a buck. Y'all need to understand that men of that caliber, they know why you're with them. They know why you're choosing them. Y'all need to understand that. And y'all also need to understand that the men that you're overlooking for these type of men, we're seeing that as well. That's the reason why you're starting to see more of those men and men like myself get passports and go overseas. So, due to your actions and men paying attention to how you move and how y'all speak and how y'all mate select and talk about men on these platforms, y'all options are really starting to dwindle. And I think that's one of the reasons why spaces like mine and other platforms on YouTube and this space are getting so much pushback and hate from women, because at the end of the day, women, they want to control the narrative and they want to control men, but they also want men to be leaders and be responsible for everything at the same time, which makes absolutely no sense. Alright, so without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the next clips.
He doesn't have enough money to pay for the hundreds of thousands of dollars of a wedding that I want, but he will soon.
Why would you want to do that to your man?
What do you mean, why would I want to do that to my man? That's for me. It's a celebration for me.
You think he wants to spend that?
I have my own money too.
Yeah, but do you think he wants to spend that on the wedding?
No, he doesn't.
It doesn't matter.
How dare you? You're looking for $100,000 wedding?
Yes.
Yes. Why? I have high standards and I feel like I shouldn't lower them just because.
I have high standards too. I went to a justice of the peace.
Okay.
Married 32 years. The biggest weddings are the shortest marriages, I swear. You know, Kim Kardashian, that dude, 72 days. Took her longer to pick out the dress than it did to be married to her. You know what I mean? You look at, that's just a party. You have that party with, like, on your 25th wedding anniversary, then you could spend that kind of money. $100,000, you're never gonna get married, honey. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's the wrong goal. The goal is to have him like for 40 years.
Yeah.
Not to have one party.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm
Even the judge has sense enough to see that. Hold on. Let's see what he said about. I want to get down to what he said.
Don't have to bring nothing to the table. Yes,
Hold on.
Situation that I was referring to with the couple that I'm friends with, even though both of them have their own businesses, but I mean, all of their kids are grown now, so they can actually afford to do that. So that's a completely different situation, but it just goes to show you, man, if you put both salaries together, man, y'all can make a difference and y'all can have a decent life. I mean, 64 plus 53, that's 117,000. You know what I mean? Most households combined aren't making that in the States.
Mm-hmm.
That's just something to think about, all right? And keep in mind, those salaries are like right above average or slightly, 54 to 63, that's like slightly above average. You know what I mean? So it ain't like, that's like upper middle class, man. That's like slightly above. You know what I mean? But you put them together, see what kind of a difference it makes. All right, now, last clip. This is Monique, and I gotta say, man, I agree with her 100% on this, what she said here, and I don't agree with her all the time. But But I want y'all to hear what she had to say. All right, let's keep it moving.
being with somebody that make you happy, that treat you special, and you can do the same. All I'm starting, not all, that's too general. I'm hearing a lot of how much money is involved. I'm hearing a lot of what you bringing to the table. You hearing people say that a woman don't have to bring nothing to the table. Yes, what? And it don't have to be about the money. But wouldn't it be nice if she brought a good attitude? Wouldn't it be nice if she brought a nurturing disposition about herself? Wouldn't it be
Hallelujah.
nice if she could make a goddamn cake from scratch? Wouldn't it be nicer if you woke up Sunday morning and the house was filled up with Sunday dinner smells? Wouldn't it be nice? We are not talking about that no more. We're talking about how much money. And that is what I believe is just tearing our community down even further, my baby.
Alright. Now, obviously, you know the term, what you bring to the table. It's going to be a lot of women that say, well, it's men saying that. But the reason why men are saying that is because all of you women are requiring men to make enough for y'all to stay home, even though most of y'all make y'all own money and claim that y'all don't need a man's money. So when men ask that question, the reason why they're asking it is because y'all contradict yourselves when y'all say what y'all want out of a man versus what y'all actually have for yourselves. The math ain't mathing, and that's just really all it is, man. And it's just as simple as that. But I do agree. I think this materialism has definitely made modern dating in the West extremely hard because it's no longer about a person's character no more. It's all about what can a man buy. It pretty much just comes off like what can a man buy for a woman.
Right.
Like, this is one of the reasons why I'm like, man, women better not hope this happens. But based on that, you know, the woman that claims to be the female Kevin Samuels and all these other women over here, you know, making money such a big priority, y'all better hope that prostitution don't get legalized in the States. Because when it does, y'all ain't gonna be able to use that bargaining chip anymore. Y'all let me know what y'all thought about this, man. If you're new to the platform, please subscribe. OGs, I appreciate the love and support.
Hey, you got a good point there, but you know, it's just we live in these times, man, and I agree with Monique on that one. And like I said, what is wrong? And I keep saying, what is wrong with some of these women today, man? They just they wondering why they're not getting asked out and why guys are ignoring them, because when they see some crazy women like this making these videos. And all they doing is really revealing who they really are. And it's showing guys who probably have the money, who probably are in fairly good shape, and who fairly got a good income and probably would be attracted. But they turn them off. Because when the men, what they don't understand, when men hear stuff like that, man, you know, because, you know, women always say men don't listen. Well, men are listening now. Oh, men are listening. And you just showing your behind. You just showing your behind. I mean, it's just crazy, man. Literally. And there's gonna be a segment of women here in the States. There's gonna be a lot of lonely women. And it's because they spoke their own destiny. And they cursed the men. They didn't appreciate the men. There's a lot of women, man, until you understand. And I would say, man, I think it's not going to take another grown person to change them. It's going to really, I know some people, it's going to sound kind of preachy, but it's going to really take God to kind of like, look, are you ready to listen? Are you really ready to listen? But don't worry, because you got somebody who will always cape for you. Because guess who likes to cape for you?
I got plenty of interviews with all women where I check them too.
Right.
But as a man, you should not be concerned about what I say to them. You know, as men, we should be concerned of what we're going to do to produce a better generation of black males for tomorrow. That's the only...
But recently, Dr. Umar Johnson stopped by the Daily Wrap-Up Crew podcast, and they had a great podcast, a great discussion. And Dr. Umar Johnson, in this particular interview, you're going to see his position is black male ownership. And this is where he wants black men to be. He wants black men to solve all of the problems in the community, control all of the business in the community. And his position on that is if black men were there, working together, helping each other, it would change the impact or the behavior that black men are complaining about. Daily Wrap-Up Crew, they're going to be firing back with some level of equality. Like, black women are responsible for their own decision making. Why are you blaming black women when black men for when black women are acting like they don't need them, and black women should be equally accountable for their own mistakes and stop blaming black men for everything. So that is pretty much their position, right? Let me kind of review the first part to see who's right. Let's play that clip.
Over here, I want to say this to us, though. Because we try to act like the way sisters treat us doesn't have a history that we are not at least partly responsible for. Let's be honest. The black woman has had to hold down the black house by herself, although imperfectly. She's had to do it by herself since the mass incarceration of black males began in the 1970s. You understand me? Most of our children are raised by a single mother right now. And it has been that way for about 50 years. So when a sister says, I don't need a man, because she couldn't find one strong enough to hold her down. Or when you meet a woman and you say, sister, I'm strong enough to be a man. You ain't got to work or you ain't got to pay the bills or whatever. Pull back, I got you. And she can't do it because all the other men before you who disappointed her. So what I'm saying is, black men, we got to be patient with our women because we created that personality. We created that, and then we want to act like we didn't play a role.
We have to be held accountable for their poor selection.
No, you have to be held accountable. No, you have to be held accountable because they have a poor selection. See, what you're saying, you're selecting a poor mate. And what I'm saying is, they don't have much to select one, so of course you're going to end up with a poor mate. And why is she going to end up with a poor mate? Because we as black men are not raising black boys to be the men that our women need.
So Dr. Umar Johnson is saying that black men are partly responsible for the decision making of black women and how black women would see black men, right? And he talks about black women raising a lot of the young men in the community, or children in the community, although been doing it imperfectly, and that a lot of black men need to have some patience with black women because, again, if black women have been let down so often by black men, that when they come across good black men, they don't understand what it is. And I can understand that. However,
military gadgets are flying off shelves, and here's why. These military special forces are...
To all the men that's going to be watching this video, listen to the men that are happily married. Listen to the men that are involved with their children's life. This guy's not involved with it in his children's life. How can he tell you what it is? He's not even married. Even Dennis Sperling pointed this out. He's never been married. So how can someone tell you to do something when they ain't doing it themselves, but they want to lecture you?
Becoming stronger fast by breathing in 200% more oxygen. And the only...
If I was in his position, I need to be living what I'm doing. Being committed to a woman and
however, we gotta look at it like this, okay? If a person doesn't understand what is there, at some point they have to also be responsible for their own decision making. I'm gonna say this too. If a black woman makes any kind of crime right now in America, murder, theft, anything like that, she cannot go to the court and say, you know what, because black men didn't create the right environment for me, that's why, I'm doing the stuff that I'm doing. If that's the case, then they would come and take black men to jail for what black women did. And that's just not honestly true. As much as we have black men who can't be competitive and be the men that we need in the community, a lot of our brothers have help, okay? A lot of women have made some terrible mistakes, and I get the fact that black men are not working together, and I'm going to agree with him solely on that point. But now when these women are saying that, hey, we're doing whatever we want to do, and we don't need you guys, even if it's coming from a place of hurt, that output at some level, when they make the choice to do that, black women got to be accountable for that, Doc. And I get what you're saying from an ownership in a position of power, but at the same time, if we talk like that, what happens? Any black woman that would have watched this particular clip, they're going to be able to say, listen, we're justified in our behavior and what we're doing. And we don't need to change because black men are not going to change it. Instead of, listen, if you're not a woman that's feminine or not a woman that is competitive, it's just the same as a black man who is not masculine, right? We can't get around that. As pro-blacks, and I get he's talking to the men right now, right? Which is true. But at the same time, if these boys didn't come up in an environment where they saw a man in the first place, and the mom picked the wrong person, and if she went out and made that decision, when I think that we do have a lot of good black men out there, we got to call that out. And I think that I get what he's trying to say, but I think as a pro-black, when you come onto a platform like this and you make that argument, you pretty much exonerate black women to continue doing whatever they're gonna do, and that's not a good look, in my honest opinion. I get the point that he's trying to make, but let's go to the next clip.
They out there killing themselves right now. What we doing about it? Unemployed black males, what we doing about it? Pants sagging, weed smoking, what we doing about it? Black men are not raising black boys to be the men our community needs. That is 100% our fault. What I'm saying is she got a right to be angry with us. She got a right to be angry with us. We have not been on our job as black men. If the men are the providers, what have we been providing for our community? I'm not speaking you individually.
Yes.
Because you may be a damn good father. You may be a damn good father. You may be a damn good father. But guess what? What are we doing for the community? What are we doing for the children who don't have a father? You don't think the black woman got a right to be angry when she been raising 2/3 of the kids by herself for 50 years? And the minute she raised her voice, we say she not humble enough? She had to become masculine to survive the molestation, the domestic abuse. Are you telling me you can't see how we created that?
I understand that, but she needs.
If we was loving our women and taking care of our women, do you think she would be like that? That personality has a history.
In this second clip, Dr. Umar Johnson is absolutely right. Black men, and I talk about it all the time on this channel, you got black men out there on the street, what are we doing about it? Black men unemployed, what are we doing about it? Hey, listen, that's black men's fault, completely. Black men do nothing to help one another. Black men do nothing to solve the problems in their community. Forget solving the problems in the black community for the whole community. Black men are apathetic when it comes to solving problems for themselves. So black men's lack of working together is not, at a certain level, black women's fault. Black men don't even have their own media. Black men don't come together and do any business. Black men don't come together to any solving of the problems in the black community, which is why I love Daily Rapper Crew, because what they've done is created an outlet for the African American community where Dr. Umar Johnson can come on and get paid and create this economy. Shout out to the Daily Rapper Crew. I just ordered 6 shirts for them, by the way. So he's right about that. Black men's inability to solve any problems in black America is solely their fault. Just like black women's irresponsible behavior is also solely, in a way, their fault. If we're gonna say, look, Doc, if black men are completely irresponsible, got it. They don't want to work, do no work, got it. Black women got to take accountability too for their own behavior. But in this case, he's completely right, 100% right. Don't disagree with him at all. I mean, obviously, there's overall, let's say that, right? I definitely don't disagree. He's right. Black men are apathetic in their own situation. Let's go to the last clip.
She's picking Pookie and Ray Ray instead of
you're making her a scapegoat.
No, she's picking a scapegoat.
No.
There's good quality men that they ignore.
Why she even got it? Why is there even a Pookie in the selection?
You gotta ask her that.
No. I'm gonna tell you why there's a Pookie in the selection. Because black men have abandoned black boys and have allowed social media, white media, athletes, and rappers to raise them. That's why she with Pookie. If we never allowed Pookie to develop, she would not have a Pookie. If we're going to be men, the first thing we got to do is take responsibility for why our women feel the way they feel.
I can hear that.
I'm not saying that they're right to disrespect, because even if a woman disrespects me, right, that still don't give me a right to disrespect her, because she's still the queen of the community. Even if she's not acting like it, I'm going to give her that respect. But when I hear brothers talk like this discourse we having now, we act like we don't understand.
No,
there's reasons for that shit.
I do understand. Women are so valuable. You get what I'm saying? Like, I think women ground men and help them, propel to the next level. I think men get further in life with a woman, right? But if I'm a hard-working man, but I'm only looked as resources, and then she's ready to jump on Tom, Dick, and Harry because he got flash, he's shining a little bit more, his access to money is quicker than mine. It's kind of hard to have that.
Well, no. One, I agree with you, but that's not all sisters.
No, it's not.
If you're constantly running into that type of woman, then the problem is you, because you're attracting a certain low vibrational energy. Why
not have that same energy for women? You just again, you have to be responsible. We have a
conversation as men.
Yeah,
I got plenty of interviews with all women where I check them too.
Right.
But as a man,
you should not be concerned about what I say to them. As men, we should be concerned of what we're going to do to produce a better generation of black males for tomorrow.
So this part is pretty interesting. He says, the Jew was talking about the Pookie situation, and Dr. Umar was like, well, listen, why is it that why did black men allow Pookies to be there in the first place? I thought that was a pretty unintelligent argument there, because there's Pookies in every community. There's Pookies in Africa, there's Pookies in Iran, there's Pookies in, Albania, where in the United States, wherever. You're gonna have people all around the world that are committing crimes. That's why even the whitest states of America have prisons and jails. Utah, Idaho, right? Because we know that people are gonna get into criminality no matter what. It's just a part of human nature. Now, when Jews are talking about the fact that, hey, I'm a good black man, or there's a lot of good black men out there, and when they come across, some of these women are not checking for them, they're checking for these other guys, and Dr. Umar Johnson nailed them right on the cross, I believe, and he said, listen, it's a low vibrational energy if you're attracting sisters like that. It's the same thing we would tell them, right? That's a particular part. Then, H tries to counter that by saying, but what about the women? And this is the best part of the argument for Dr. Umar. And there are little parts in here, but overall.
Cashback 5% on track.
I'm going to say this. The people, go ask people who have a happy relationship. The people in your family. The people have been married for 30, 40, 50, 60 years. You're going to seek advice who raise children. They're the ones you need to talk to, whether men or women in the community. Stop. That's my opinion. Somebody is about it. That would be the best advice I would give to somebody. Don't get no advice from somebody if they ain't living it. Don't listen to somebody. Take it with a grain of salt. Just because somebody can say something, hell, even the devil can tell you something may sound like the truth. It don't mean that it's true. You know what I'm saying? There's just something to think about. And so, be your own person. Be your own man. Or if it's a woman, listen, be your own woman. And be your own person. But this is the reason why. But he panders to women. But at the same time, you have to look at his track record. Does he follow what he believes? Is he trying to do what he do when it comes to his affairs with business? See, you overlook that, and then when you confront him on it, he wants to. All you have to do is sit back and listen to people and watch their actions. Just because someone talk a whole lot of jargon, a whole lot of truth, sit back. I learned in life, just sit back and watch people. Don't say nothing. Just sit back and listen and watch. And when you be in a room with somebody for a certain amount of time will tell you who they really are, where their priorities. You get about 30 minutes to an hour with a person, you pretty much know what they're pretty much about. But as a people, you got to change that. Got to change your mindset, and it's very important. Because you're being brainwashed. And I'm gonna make another video because it was part of that woman's video, but I'll probably make it because I don't want this video go on too long. I try to cut it down at least under an hour. I mean, maybe kind of like, I don't know, but it's something. Accountability is a big part as people. But it started out that way. But in order to take you seriously as a people, you have to kind of change who you are. And the reason why some of us is not being taken seriously and people think that we're a joke is because, like some of them earlier videos, they think you're a joke, and then they think that you're a clown, and then it's the black Americans are trying to rise up in other areas. But you got people that do some foolishness like this, and it's like, I mean, to me, it's like it sets us back. I'm just gonna be honest with you, and that's why someone might not like this video, what I said, but all you have to do is, the reality of it is, that's the reality. We gotta be respectful of one another. It starts with home, and I would say what the incident happened over in Africa, man. We gotta do better. If you're not gonna respect people, and I'm a big firm believer, before you go to Africa, learn to get along with the people from that part of Africa, whether it's Ghana, Nigeria, or the 54 other countries. Get some sense of order, understanding, and watch how they move. So when you get over there, you have an understanding on what it is. I think that's the big part. I've been blessed to go to a church. And there's some people from the continent of Africa, and they just happen to be Nigerians. I got to sit around and see how the way they eat, worship, and everything. And when you be around some people for a while, you learn. That's the main thing, is to get to an environment such as something, a community or church, and get to understand if you're going to connect with the people over in the continent. That's in any of those countries over in Africa, Kenya, whatever, Ghana, Nigeria, Uganda, all. Get to know the people that's here. Find a good person that's here and learn and sit back. Don't have to be the showboat, and humble yourself. Humble yourself does not make yourself necessary that you're weak, but make yourself, and just look back and study and listen. So when it's time for you to go over to there, you'll understand what the culture, the mindset, and the whole aspect of their way of thinking and the way of life. Other than that, it's going, and that's what for us, any group of people, any place you go, not just Africa, but any part of the world, get to know the people first. Study, do some research. And leave that ignorant Western mindset, the hoochie mindset, hood Negro stuff here. Don't take it over there, because it's like, especially when you have American blacks are trying to establish something right and positively, you kind of making some of them make it harder for them to take you seriously. So that's my advice. And understand, and that's something that we have to learn in this American shore among each other. That's why God blessed me to go and let me go into a Latino church, go into an African church, because that's where the store of order is at. First of all, that's why church is the number one thing. Or you can go do it in the mosque. You have to learn how to one thing at order. And as Americans, especially as black, and we low on the totem pole, because the whole world has painted, the Western media has painted us as dysfunctional clowns. So it's up to us to clean the image. Sit down and think about it. That's why some of them they see how the way they project. That's why they want their kids to be influenced when they come over here. That's their version of it. Even though I know it's not all of a version, but that's their point, because what you saw in the video. Think about it. Would you be pissed if you see somebody doing that over? You was from Ghana, you see something like that, American that looked similar to you? Would you want some Ghanaian person over there dancing at the Martin Luther King or some slave? No. Or at a lynching, when people got lynched? What's wrong with you? Please use some common sense. Have some respect when we go over here. Respect, and as Americans, we need to learn to respect other people's, and that's why. And respect can go a long way. If you don't, it can cost you. It can cost you your freedom, and cost you your life. Think about it. Alright then, ladies and gentlemen, hope you enjoyed this video. Again, enjoy, share, like, subscribe. Till next time, you guys take it and be blessed.